Okay, we're going to be looking at creating the bearing holder. So I'm going to do the demo. The order that I'm going to take this in is I'm going to create the feet or the base first as a solid. Then I'm going to create the tube added to it and then the hole going through in the middle. And then we're going to add the two holes on the side and then, you know, the fillets and then the hole on the top as well. So if we go back to Creo and get started on a new file, I'm going to start new. Bearing underscore holder. Make sure that you set your working directory. I already did that in my background here. So, so make sure that you do that before we go forward. It's one, I don't know. Okay. And then what we're gonna start by picking the plane that we want to do that first extrude on. So I'm going to do my extrude, define, and I'm going to go on my front plane here. And that's where you start most often. I mean, maybe not always, but most often we're going to start with, you know, what we anticipate to be, for instance, our front view, which we would put on our front plane. So, so as we look back over here, we're going to create this profile in the background and then extrude it forward. So, so I am going to start with the circle in the middle because that's going to create those tangent parts on the top. And then I'm going to take my circles on the outsides here and then make those tangent on either side. So go back to Creo and I'm going to start with that. Looks like it's a 2.5-inch circle for the outside of the tube there. So I'm going to put that at the origin for its center and then 2.5. My numbers lock on. 2.5 diameter. Okay. And then I'm going to add the radius of 0.69 on the outside here. So I'm going to add a circle over here. And if I take 0.69 and I multiply it by 2, I'm not good at that in my head. It's 1.38. So 1.38 is probably 1 3/8. So I'm going to put it in as 1.375. Okay. These are 2-place decimals. So there's definitely rounding when it's kind of a standard inch increment, if you would. So I always kind of add that third decimal when needed or fourth. So that's 1.375. And then the distance from center to center here, I'm going to double click 1.875. Right. Yeah. Okay. And then now I am going to make my line. Now these need to be tangent. So if we remember underneath our line, our chain line command, there's a tangent line. So I'm going to click tangent line and click again, and then it'll make my line tangent there. And then same thing on the bottom. I'm still in that command, so I can continue to do the very same thing. Okay. And once that's in place, I'm going to trim away the parts I don't need. So I'm going to go to delete segment, kind of go like this, 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 and that. Okay. Now I am going to take this side over here, this right-hand side, and I'm going to mirror it on the other side before I do my extrude. So I'm going to select, so make sure that you have the select grade. I'm going to select those 3. So the tangent line, I'm going to hold my control button so I can select all 3 at once. And then I'm going to go to the mirror command. The mirror command becomes available once I have some entities selected. So I'm going to hit the mirror command. And then once that's there, I need to now select on the line that I want to mirror over. And that's going to be this one right here. Okay. All right. Now I want to get rid of the section in here that I don't need. So this part of that radius I don't need anymore. So I'm going to go up to delete segment and I'm going to go over the top of those 2. And now it should fill in and be fully defined for me. Okay. So at this point, the sketch is complete. I'm going to double check my feature requirements. I'm good. And I'm ready to extrude this. So if you're following along, do you have any questions at the moment? Make sense? Okay. So now I'm going to hit the OK button so that I can extrude this. I'm going to rotate this a little bit so I can see what's going on. And I'm going to pull that forward, you know, I don't need, as I look at this part, I don't need this to be symmetrical. So I'm going to just use a blind depth here, and that thickness of that, you know, that base, or that what I call the feet or the foot, is going to be 0.56. It looks like 0.56. Okay. And there it is. And I can hit OK. Now what I'm probably going to do, just because they're there, it's going to be easy to put the holes in that base. Have a good night. And I'm going to put those smaller holes in right here. So I'm going to extrude. I'm going to click on this surface. And now I'm going to put those holes to be concentric to each one of these rounded ends. So I'm going to kind of activate those ends, not clicking on them, and then click at the center here. And then this is going to have a diameter of 0.56. There we go. And notice that it's concentric, so it shares the same center as that rounded end. So I don't have to add any more dimensions for that. I'm going to do the very same thing on the other side. I'm going to add another circle, activate that edge so I can grab that center, click on the center, and then it should activate that equal. And we do want those two to be equal. So when we see that equal come up, we're going to hit the left mouse button, and then it'll have that same dimension as the other one. Okay. No weak dimensions here. It's concentric and equal. So if I hit the feature requirements, looks like I'm ready to do my extrude cut, if you would. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to want to add material. We want to switch that direction, and we want to change this to through all. Okay, through all. Remove material and make sure they're in there. That looks good. And I'm going to hit OK. Not a bad time to do a quick save. File save and hit OK. All right, so now we've got our feet in there. You go back over, oopsie, wrong one. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the outside cylinder here. Okay, so I'm going to add this as material, and then we're going to do an extrude to cut it. So I'm going to go back to Creo, and I'm going to name my two extrusions here. So I'm going to call this the base. And then I'm going to call these, I'm going to call them mounting holes, MTG holes. Okay. And now I'm going to add a new extrude, and this is going to be the outside diameter of that tube. So I'm going to click on this surface right here, and I'm going to do a circle. It's going to be at the center of the origin, and it's going to be the very same outside diameter. And you'll notice that it says equal, and I do want it to be equal to that, to what that base was. So I'm just going to click there, middle mouse button, and notice I'm not going to be adding a dimension at all because I put that in at 2.5 inches. Okay, so it's the same size. So now I should be good on my requirements, and I am. And I'm going to hit OK, and it is going to project forward, and that distance. Now the total distance is 1.31. So I need to take 1.31 minus 0.56. And that's 3/4 of an inch, 0.75. So my blind depth here, 0.75. And okay. Okay. All right. So now we've got this solid. So I'm going to rename. This is going to be tube OD. There we go. All right. Now I'm ready to do my cut of a hole through the inside. So I'm going to do my extrude. I'm going to click on this front surface here. I'm going to draw a circle, share the same center as my origin. And now I'm going to make it right about there, right? Double click, and that's going to be 1.625. And now if I rotate this a little bit, we can see it's on the surface here of that tube, which is good. That's exactly where I want it. Shares the same center. I have the diameter. Feature requirements are all set, and I'm going to hit OK. We're going to switch that direction, and we're going to do a through all. And hit OK. There it is. Okay. I'm going to change my view here to be shaded with edges, just so I can see those edges so they don't blend. All right. Any questions so far? All right. So now we just got the last couple features. So we'll put the hole in the top. Okay. So if we look here at this, okay, you'll notice that this is just going through this portion right here. Now, if I try to select the top of the part is rounded. All right. It won't let me select that because it's not like a plane that I can draw on. So what I am going to do is there is a plane going through the middle here. It's the top plane. Okay. I'm actually going to draw my sketch here, and we're going to project that hole going up to the top surface. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'll kind of show you. We go back over here. We'll try. I'm going to extrude. And if I try to define and I try to grab, notice I can't grab that surface on the top to try to put a hole in there. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what I need to do is I need to actually grab, I'm going to draw my sketch on my top plane. Okay. And I only want it to go through that top wall. I'm just going to hit sketch on my top plane. But the direction that I extrude it will rotate. We'll see what we can set it to only go in one direction, as we know. So so I'm going to create my circle, and it's going to be, I don't know, right about here-ish on that middle, which would be the right plane. Okay. My diameter is going to be 0.25. Okay. And then distance from the front. So I have to add a dimension. Distance from the front is going to be from here to the center out here. And that's going to be 0.42. And so, and it's on this plane right here. So it's coincident with that. So that's going to be, that's on center. So now if I rotate this a little bit, notice that my sketch is on the top plane, but we're going to project it up through just this wall. Okay. So if I hit my feature requirements, I'm good. And then I'm going to hit OK. And now it's going to be remove material, but I want it to go through all in that direction. So notice that it's only going through the one. It's not going through the bottom. It's only going through the one. Okay. Now, if I wanted to go through both, I could do symmetrical, for instance. I could do symmetrical, and then I would set, you know, the entire depth. So then I could set, I don't know, what would it be? If that's outside 2.5, I would probably do, like, let's say 3 inches. Then I could go in both directions. Okay. But I don't want it to do that. So I'm going to go to the aligned depth, and I want to set it so that it only goes through the top, and it is. And I want it to be, you know, through all in that direction, so it always goes through. Any questions? And then make sure remove material is there. Okay. So that's going to be that feature. And then we have the fillets or the rounds to put on. Now, at this point, there is a feature called round. Okay. Now, I know in Sketch we called it fillet, but at the feature level, if you would, because this is on the model tree or the model ribbon, this is like a feature. So so we're going to use the round command, and this, you know, whole window business comes up. So what we're going to do is it's wanting us to you know, select where we want these fillets to go. Now, the important thing to do is not to select a surface. You have to select the edge where we want it to go in. So for instance, I'm going to zoom in here, and you see how when I'm just over the edge there, it's just the edge. But if I go on either side here, these are the surfaces. So I want to click only when it gets on the edge part. So I'm going to click on this edge right here. And what it's going to do is it's going to assume and kind of go continuous until it hits an abrupt change, if you would. All right. And you'll notice that it assumed a radius of 0.7. If we could either change it here in the model, or down here on the table. And I'm going to set that to an eighth of an, is that right? Eighth of an inch fillets. It's up in the description, 0.125. Okay, so that's there. And now, instead of going out of here, I can continue to hit surfaces, or I'm sorry, edges. So I'm gonna zoom in here, and I'm gonna wait till I get to just this edge right here, and then it's gonna go around the whole thing. It'll kind of see where it's continuous. Okay. And then I'm gonna go on the other side because these are all the same sizes. I'm gonna do that very same thing here. Grab the edge and the edge, and I believe those are the only ones I need to do on that top edge. Yeah. Okay. And once I have those identified, I can hit the green check mark and they're in. Okay. Now I probably should go back and I'm going to rename this as tube underscore ID inside dimension or inside diameter. And then this is going to be the, I'm going to call it the top hole. And then the round is the 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch radiuses. I wonder if I can rename that 0.13 or 0.125 underscore fillets. No, it doesn't want to. I don't know if I can rename those or not. Oh, I probably know why. Probably because I had a decimal started. So I'm going to maybe put fillets underscore 0.125. Maybe it'll, it didn't take that either. Oh, Creo. Love, hate. I think that's it. Oh, and then we also want to add the chamfers, right? Okay. As a design change, they want us to add chamfers on the front and back side of this inside diameter of 1.625. So let's add those. So you'll notice right underneath round at the model, on the model ribbon, we have chamfer. So we can click on chamfer and we're going to do that very same thing. So we're going to click where we see, and we can select only the edge. Don't select surfaces. So we're going to select the edge, and then it's going to make some assumptions here for us. So it looks like we want a 30-second by 45 degrees. So 30-second is, instead of 0.125, we want to go 0.0325, right? So a nice teeny tiny little chamfer on that side. And then we're going to flip it around. And we're going to do the very same thing on this edge, and it'll do that same chamfer on both sides. Then we can hit OK. And there we go. Looks good. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, that helped out a lot. Thank you.
What was that?
I said that helped out a lot. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So we'll give this one a save. And I think that's it. I'll stop recording.